William Post won $16.2 million in the Pennsylvania lottery in 1988, and within just a few years, he was completely broke and living on food stamps. Here is the number that should genuinely disturb you. Research from the National Endowment for Financial Education found that approximately 70% of lottery winners end up broke within just a few years of their win. Which means winning life-changing money does not just fail to fix someone's financial life. It actually destroys it faster than if they had never won at all. Meanwhile, a small handful of winners somehow keep their fortune intact for decades, raising their families, growing their wealth, and living the exact opposite story. Stay with me until the end of this video, because the specific difference between the winners who kept their money and the winners who lost everything is something almost nobody explains clearly. And once you understand it, you will see your own money completely differently. In the next 12 minutes, I am going to show you exactly why sudden money destroys most people who receive it, the specific psychological and financial traps that drained these fortunes faster than anyone expected, and the one principle that the small percentage of successful winners all shared in common, a principle that applies just as powerfully to your regular paycheck as it does to a multi-million-dollar jackpot. Growing up in America, winning the lottery was always presented to us as the ultimate ending to a financial struggle, the moment all your problems disappear forever. But studying the American financial system taught me that this idea is almost completely backwards, and the story of William Post proves it in the most painful way possible. After winning his $16.2 million jackpot, William Post invested in a restaurant and an airplane business with his brother, both of which failed within the first year, while a former girlfriend successfully sued him for a share of the winnings. And his own brother was later convicted of hiring someone to kill him in hopes of inheriting what remained of the fortune. Within a few years, William Post was over $1 million in debt and declared bankruptcy, and he spent his final years living on a modest disability check, which means the very money that was supposed to free him ended up nearly costing him his life. And the lesson at the center of his story is the same lesson at the center of this entire video. Here's the first thing most people never truly understand. Money does not make someone wealthy. The skill of managing money is what makes someone wealthy. And when a large sum arrives without that underlying skill already in place, it behaves less like a gift and more like a loaded responsibility that most people are never prepared to handle. Think of it this way. Imagine handing the keys of a commercial airliner to someone who has only ever driven a car. And even though the plane is more powerful and capable of taking them further than they ever imagined, the lack of skill required to operate it safely means the outcome is far more likely to be a crash than a successful flight. And this is essentially what happens when someone receives a fortune they were never taught how to manage. Economist Jay Zagorski's research, cited widely across financial publications, found that lottery winners filed for bankruptcy at significantly higher rates within 3 to 5 years of winning compared to the average American household, which directly contradicts the common assumption that more money automatically solves financial problems. The actionable lesson here is that before any amount of money, whether it is a lottery jackpot, an inheritance, or simply a raise at your job, actually improves your life, you need to have already built the underlying financial habits and knowledge to handle it, which means the real work is not winning the money. It is becoming the kind of person who knows what to do once it arrives. But here is what most people completely miss about this. The psychological trap that follows sudden wealth is often more dangerous than the financial mismanagement itself. Picture this. The moment people around you discover that you suddenly have access to a large amount of money, you instantly become the target of every relative, friend, and acquaintance who has ever needed a loan, a gift, or an investment partner, and saying no to people you genuinely love becomes one of the most emotionally exhausting experiences a person can go through. Evelyn Adams, who won the New Jersey lottery twice for a combined total of approximately $5.4 million, has publicly stated that she lost the majority of her winnings by giving loans to family and friends, and through repeated trips to Atlantic City casinos, which illustrates exactly how quickly a fortune can disappear when there is no structure in place to manage requests for money. Here is the thing most people do not realize. Financially successful people are not the ones who never get asked for help. They are the ones who have already decided in advance what their personal financial boundaries are, which means the decision to say no is made calmly ahead of time rather than emotionally in the heat of the moment. The practical application here is to decide your financial boundaries before you ever come into extra money, whether that is a holiday bonus, a salary increase, or a larger windfall. Because a boundary decided in a calm moment will always hold up better than one you try to invent under pressure from someone you care about. Now, this is where it gets genuinely interesting, because even winners who avoided greedy relatives and reckless spending still lost everything for one specific structural reason. Imagine receiving a check for several $1,000,000 and immediately feeling like you have permanently solved every financial concern you will ever have for the rest of your life. And this feeling, while completely understandable, is one of the most dangerous illusions in personal finance, because a large lump sum without an income stream behind it can disappear far faster than most people expect. Jack Whitaker, who won $315 million in a West Virginia lottery in 2002, later told reporters that he wished he had torn up the winning ticket after facing repeated lawsuits. A string of personal tragedies and financial predators who specifically targeted him because of his newfound wealth. The American financial system has tools built into it that most people, whether living in the US or back home, simply are not aware of, including structured settlement options that allow lottery winnings to be paid out gradually over 20 or 30 years, instead of as a single lump sum, which forces a sustainable spending pace rather than allowing the entire fortune to be accessible all at once. The specific action here is to treat any large financial gain, not just lottery winnings, but bonuses, inheritances, or business windfalls, as something to convert into an ongoing income stream through investments, rather than as spending money, because converting a lump sum into assets that generate steady returns is the single most reliable way to make a fortune last for decades rather than years. Stay with me here, because this next section is the most important, and it reveals the single trait that separates the winners who kept their fortune from the ones who lost everything. Here is the piece that nobody talks about. For every William Post or Evelyn Adams whose story ended in financial ruin, there are quieter, far less publicized stories of lottery winners who kept their fortunes intact for decades. And almost every one of those success stories shares a single common thread, which is that the winner treated the money as capital to be protected and grown rather than as income to be spent. Missouri lottery winner Sandra Hayes, who split a $224 million Powerball jackpot with 12 coworkers in 2006, has publicly described deliberately keeping her lifestyle modest, working with financial professionals immediately and treating her share of the winnings as something to be managed responsibly rather than spent freely, which is precisely why her financial outcome looked completely different from so many other winners. This is the moment where most people's understanding of money changes completely, because the lesson is not that lottery winnings are cursed or that sudden wealth is inherently destructive. The lesson is that any amount of money, large or small, behaves exactly the same way, depending entirely on whether the person holding it understands how to protect, grow, and limit access to it. The actionable step here is to start practicing these exact habits with the money you already have right now, regardless of how small the amount feels. Because the discipline of protecting and growing $10,000 is the same discipline that protects and grows $10 million. The habit comes first, and the amount of money simply reveals whether or not that habit was already in place. We have covered 4 things so far: why sudden wealth without financial skill becomes a liability, why social pressure quietly drains fortunes from generous winners, why lifestyle inflation moves faster than even massive jackpots can sustain, and the one quiet habit shared by every winner who kept their money. And now it is time to reveal exactly what that means for the money already sitting in your own bank account. Here is the real lesson hidden inside every one of these stories. And this is the answer to the question this entire video has been building toward. The 70% of lottery winners who end up broke within a few years are not failing because the money was cursed or because luck eventually runs out. They are failing because winning a fortune does not retroactively install the financial discipline that should have been built well before the money ever arrived. Which means the lottery did not create their financial problems. It simply revealed habits and patterns that were already there, just with far higher stakes attached. William Post's story ends in bankruptcy, not because $16 million was an unlucky amount, but because nobody had ever taught him how to say no, how to invest, or how to protect a fortune from people who wanted a piece of it. And Sandra Hayes' story ends in stability, not because her $224 million share was somehow blessed, but because she immediately surrounded herself with financial guidance and treated the money with the same seriousness most people reserve only for emergencies. And here is what makes this so relevant for anyone watching from anywhere or building a life as an American. Wealth is never really about the size of the number that lands in your account. It is about whether you have already built the habits required to protect, grow, and responsibly manage whatever number eventually shows up. Which means the real lottery you are playing is the one where your daily financial habits are quietly being tested every single day, whether or not you ever buy a single ticket. The size of the money that arrives in your life will never matter nearly as much as the habits you already have in place to receive it. And that single truth applies whether you are holding a winning lottery ticket or simply your next paycheck. If you know someone who has ever said, "I just need one big break to fix my finances," share this video with them. Because the real fix has never been the big break itself. It has always been what happens in someone's hands the moment it arrives. In the next video, I am going to break down exactly how everyday Americans without lottery winnings or inheritances have quietly built seven-figure portfolios using nothing but consistent habits and ordinary paychecks. And that story might be even more remarkable than this one.